What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. I took a bit of a hiatus because of the Christmas break, but we're back and we're going to be reacting to Assassin's Creed Revelations soundtrack. Yes, that's right. Arguably one of the best soundtracks, one of the best games to end off Ezio's collection, like Ezio's trilogy almost. One of the a game that I got upset and I loved playing. But we're going to be reacting to the official theme song. Let's get it. So what I find interesting with 30 seconds in, what I find interesting with this is really Assassin's Creed didn't have like a recognized soundtrack at the start with Altair, the Assassin's Creed. It didn't really have its own sound identity like, Halo has. Um, so what's interesting is in Assassin's Creed 2, in which I think I reference this because I broke down the Ezio family soundtrack. That's really the theme in where this sound begins, and it's played in Brotherhood, it's played in Revelations, and it's kind of like it's larger than that now. It's more of the theme going forward for Assassin's Creed, right? In the second game, that theme begins when Ezio's family gets hung, and he watches it, if you remember it. And so it's interesting that Ubisoft took that and implemented it into all of the games, really. Like, it's the sound identity. It came from one of the most tragic scenes in Assassin's Creed franchise history, with the Ezio family, uh, you know, dying, and then it kind of leads into Ezio being, the assassin, even though he did watch his parents, die when he was when he was an assassin. But there we are. So I just find it interesting that in Revelations, a game that's kind of tying up loose ends in a sense, packing up Ezio's saga and also giving the audience a flavor of what could have been with Altair. So that's definitely interesting. But under this, it's different because in number two is just the vocals. But now, if you listen, it's just an underlaying, like drone almost, just a little bit of bass added to it. A lot more like an emotional kind of sound. Like Ezio's aged. He's at that time where he's gonna, it's good nights for him. So now there's like an emotional weight to it, kind of just like a little bit of a tension rising. Like, is this it for Ezio? Is it done? Yeah, it's so emotional right now. Like, even the vocals, just. I remember playing this game when I was a kid, and I avoided spoilers online, so I didn't know that it was kind of Ezio's last game. And even though we properly understand how Ezio kind of passed in the short film, the Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed Ember, but this game, it really wrapped up Altair's story. Um, and what I find the most interesting with this is just there's a level of tension going into this game because through all the trailers and the marketing, we didn't know if Ezio was going to die. So that was interesting. If you remember going back to my Assassin's Creed 2, oh, my chair squeaky. If you remember me in Assassin's Creed 2 video, I explained how they were using a lot of transitions. The composer was using a lot of transitions between one segment and another. It feels like they're doing it the same, but just a little bit more spacey. Like if we go back here, the build up, but then there's just bass. Boom. It might have been like maybe just a little bit of like an 808. An 808 underlining boom, boom, boom. Kind of like a heartbeat almost. Then we have the vocals played through probably like a synth plug-in or something, but just spaced off in the distance of the mix. So it's just out there. And that's interesting. Give it a re-listen. Almost it's like they transposed it up a little bit. Like you have the main vocals that's lasting like a minute and 24, minute 25, which is like kind of the intro of this soundtrack, or this, this track, which is, the first track. We have this, and then it looks like they just copied, the main theme, copied it over, transposed it up, and just used that, but then just mixed it off with a lot of reverb. Maybe a lot of echo as well, so it just sends off. And then you've got obviously the main theme that's been so like that's in the game. God, my analysis. It's the new year, bear with me. It's been in the games, since number 2. A lot of rises. That's such an 808. But what I find very interesting in this, right, is it feels like almost like I'm obviously interpreting it like this because I've played the game, but also through the sound of really like I personally think is like Ezio's thing to prove. Like this is his last thing to prove that he's arguably one of the greatest creeds of assassins to ever be made. Again, that's debatable because a lot of people like, Edward, a lot of people like, a bunch of assassins. And Revelations as a game, it was a game that came up when Ubisoft released, I think it's Assassin's Creed 3 and another game as well. And then you had Revelations. So it was a mix between the new fighting style and the old fighting style. You had Ezio learning ropes from some of the new assassins as an old man. and really understanding where the Creed is going to go in the future, or the Brotherhood is going to go in the future, of Assassins. So the game is very, very good. I don't understand the hate that it gets, to be honest with you. It did get a lot of hate. Um, Maybe it's just because like people were too emotional. I understand. It was an emotional game. Um, but yeah, I really the sound like the like the rise. They didn't really have that. So it's a kind of new interpretation of the theme, but keeping it the same in a sense, but just very little minute details, keeping it different. Strings are more electronic. In number 2, sorry to keep on pausing him, but in number 2, you could tell that they were real strings, right? They were conducted in a hall. They were made specifically like that, right? In this, it just seems a little bit like electronic. And I think there is a reason behind that, because a lot of the story is like behind like the Matrix and tapping into your ancestors' mind and learning and adapting, and what's it called? The Abzorgo, the thing that Desmond goes in and chills out, sleeps it. Um, like that. I think it's symbolizing that really, because the strings along with the 808s, I think that is a calculated decision by the composer to create this, and I think that's the part of the theme. Where are we gonna go next? Oh, okay. Is that a guitar in the background? Might be just a little bit of a guitar in the background. Yeah, it might be. So this part, there was a transition here, and it's to they're treating it almost like a song. You have the intro, you have the chorus or the verse leading into a hook, then chorus, then you have the chorus back into a verse, then you got the hook, then you got the chorus, then you got the end. Something like that is a standard song. It's almost like the treating like it's like this bit here is like the chorus, it's the main part, the main theme. Here's the intro, and then now is the end. So damn, this must be good. Look at the replay. But they're treating it like that almost. But they were using a little bit of a guitar. It's like panned left and really off into the mix. But there were a lot of like wind chimes as well, like wind chimes as the transition with the 80. I'm guessing the 808 bass, with a little bit of the brass coming in as well. So a lot of that is the transition. I think a lot of us aspiring composers can use stuff like this to transition instead of just boom, 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 copy and pasting. If we want to like have a new segment in our soundtrack, just have a little bit of a transition. It's very minute, this is. And as someone that makes soundtracks and makes scores and studies this, I think we can learn, we all can learn, as aspiring, composers, because we often find ourselves just, oh, we've come up with this, boom, 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 but no, we're just transitioning. Just create a transition. It could be very basic, a rise of and then boom into the next stuff, or it could be, a guitar, like a guitar really mixed off in the distance. The wind chimes coming in. a little bit of a guitar. No, this is the main part, I think. Do you hear that then? A little bit of the vocals reversed, reverbed, echoed, and it comes in, but it goes. So it pans from the right side of the speaker to the left side of the speaker, and it just goes. Just pans. Listen. I know how they would have used a riser. Riser comes first. Grab the vocals. The vocals then come here. So then you get the bar go in, hits the riser, and then you get that douche at the end of zoop, like that. You get the vocals. There's, I think, about at least 6 layers going on right now. You got the strings, you got the horns, you got brass, you got, I'm guessing, an 808 as a little bit of the boom, boom, kind of a little bit of the percussion, maybe. I'm guessing the 808s, but you know, they're bassy. So you got the violins one, which is the very thing. You got the horns, which is the more higher notes. Got the brass, which is kind of just there in a mix, really bassy. Then you've got violins too, which is, I'm guessing, like the more kind of like spiccato, staccato, like which is keeping that percussion alive, which is keeping that cinematic alive. You know, the constant like, yeah. Wow. Round of applause. I understand why why I played this game and why I enjoyed it. We're just gonna break this little segment down because I think there's a reason why it's like the most replayed of this. What a rise! What a transition! You don't even see it coming. Like, it's been years, guys. It's been years since I've played this game, and I don't know if it happens to the same to you, but sometimes you just get like muddled up with like certain, of a franchise like Assassin's Creed has been around for like 20 odd years. You know, I when I first played Assassin's Creed, it was number 2 that I played the first. Then I went back to number 1, because I thought Ezio was at number 1, and obviously played it number 1. You learn about Altair, and then you got Brotherhood, and then you've got the other games come in. But there's a reason why I think Revelations, it wasn't like delivered poorly. It's a fantastic game, and I will die on that hill. It's an amazing game. And while I am a little bit excited for Shadows, I think Assassin's Creed might have truly not been the same since the Ezio trilogy. Because while other games have come, like, I really like Syndicate. I don't mind Unity. Origins. It's an absolute master of a game. Just that pizzazz is lacking, I think. And while the soundtracks for all of those games are amazing because let's face it, even though that you can get a bad Assassin's Creed game, I don't think you can get a bad soundtrack, a bad theme, or a bad sound to the game. You know, Syndicate was poorly received because Unity wasn't well liked, but they captured the sound of London in that era, and it was magnificent to see. This part here, Simple Rise. Listen. You feel it building up. The sounds are getting bigger. The dynamics are getting bigger. The orchestra of this is getting larger. So you feel something big is on the horizon. That's immersion if you're a player, right? Because subconsciously, you're like, oh my God, something happening. And you're feeling something big happening through the sound. It's the expression of that. Something is rising. Something is big. The horns are becoming more larger. And that simple, oh, like that. And I don't know if it's like a simple rise or if it's a use of the vocals that come in, the choir that comes in. I'm gonna have to listen to it again. So I think it's a mixture of both, of timing, to be honest with you. I think it's the vocals, and I think it's one of the strings instruments. I think it might be a violin, but in a tremolo, just that, and just rised up. I think this is where it gets a little bit more real, because a lot of this you could tell it was like either passed through like a synth filter, or it was created in a synth, like a sample of a string. Like it just sounded a bit electronically and just a bit MIDI-ish. Again, this was back years ago, and MIDI wasn't as advanced as it is now. But I think samples existed. So I think there might have been like a few samples here and there. But this bit here really gets real, and I don't know if it's this a lot of this is meant to symbolize kind of Altair, and like because in Assassin's Creed 2, which is the first Ezio game, they used real instruments. I don't know. Post down in the comments if you know as well. But a tremolo or a sustain up or something like that. It was a string. It's a string anyway to create this transition. It's a string. And then the choir just comes in. So it's that perfect like transition into the next scene. A little bit of a clash as well. You know, a little bit of a clash just off in the mix as well, just to create a bit more of a cinematic feel. You can hear the a little bit. So you got the drums. So you got the the boom boom. So the 808s or the electronic beat then that was underlaying a lot of the sound is off. It's really low to the mix now. So where in the beginning you could hear it, it's off. And now springs into action because you've got male vocals, which is underlaying the low, the low. Then you've got female vocals that can hit those higher octaves than a man can. So now we've got double layers. And the sound changes. Something is going on. There's an action. There's a fight. There's a bit of sadness. Maybe there's a battle. There's a war. We don't know. We don't know. But as a player, you're feeling this. Imagine you're going into a battle, and then this plays the transition, and it's just epicness. It becomes epic in the last couple of odd seconds. It becomes epic. And then with the vocals are panning speaker to speaker a little bit. And then now the men's vocals are just cut off. They're just gone. They're just not there anymore because it's women. You know, it's the women's vocals that's coming forward through the mix. The horns, the brass, the strings, a lot of the high instruments and the low instruments, they're putting in that work. They're becoming this epicness. And it just sets off suddenly, and then you got the brass boom, boom, coming off. Guys, this soundtrack is 4 minutes and 43 seconds long. I think all of us here can use something like that. In the beginning is really basic. Got to the point. Around here, it transitioned. It went into the Assassin's Creed theme. That slot here, no. Then it played out. And then around here, boom. It just turns into something. I think transitions, and coming at a piece of score has to be calculated, I think, and well thought out. And I think this soundtrack is well thought out. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you stuck around till the end, and if you did, look, hit that like button, subscribe, comment down below. What's your emotional moment in Revelations? What did you go, oh God, oh no? You know, what did you go, and what's your favorite game? And it might be a bit controversial, but are you looking forward for Shadows, Assassin's Creed Shadows? Anyway, guys, I want to hear all your feedback. Recommend stuff to react to. Just recommend it. Slap it down in the comments down below. And until my next video, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.